Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Single TV channel 250. Well, today is 249, 250, and 251. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, I am so happy that I have my good new friend, as you said last time,
Yes.
Christina. Really, thank you for being here. We are going to have a very, very interesting call today. I was with her in a call, like almost 10 days ago, something like that, right? In a Mind Valley event that was really amazing. And I really, if I am honest with you, Christina, I saw all the people that was there and it's like, okay, all the topics are very interesting and I want to grow with that. But this one is different. One is about horses and I want to know what is this exactly. And that's why we are here, like learning about what you are doing, how you are helping the world with that. So tell us a little bit more about what you are doing now.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, for having me here. I'm super excited to share more, to discuss more. We had so many nice conversations during the event and then also later in Mexico City. I'm in Ecuador and I'm sitting here in my farmhouse. I'm watching my herd right in front of me outside the window. And I teach healing with horses. And you're right, this conference, I mean, all the speakers talk a little bit about the same things, right? We all talk about how to overcome your fear, how to create your reality, how to create the business that you want. But then I do it from a different angle because I do it around the horses. Why? Because the horses brought me to where I am today. And I also teach others to work with horses and to help, to heal, to coach people. And the horses really have helped me to be where I am today, which is a school, an international school. I work in 30 different countries. And I have created my dream home. I have a herd of horses. And yeah, it kind of couldn't be better right now.
That's really cool. And really, when we are, let's start to understand a little bit because you were talking about something healing, and it's not a healing of okay, I have something hurt here. I want to fix this, but it's like soul healing, something more deep that can help us to improve. And it's very interesting. Something that I am doing a lot is like when I start to learn something, it's like, okay, that angle is very interesting, but what happens if I start to see something in different angles? That
Yes.
happens also when you're a photographer. I love photography. And when I am taking a photo, I can be like, okay, this photo, it's okay. But if I move 5 degrees, something is completely different. And suddenly that photo is amazing. And that's another look of what you are doing and how you are doing it with horses. So let's go a little bit back in your life to start to understand why horses, how started that amazing relationship with horses in your life.
Yes. So before I tell you more about my story, I would like to go a little bit into this word of healing. Healing, it's actually not my favorite word to use because it sounds sometimes so like an external, as you said, like healing something. I'm doing something. Actually, it's more inspiration for self healing or for self um, improvement. Some people call it equine assisted learning or coaching, but it's none of that. So my method is called horse guided empowerment. And
Mm.
that is for me still the best word to describe what I'm doing and what horses have done for me. So they healed me, they coached me, and in the end, they empowered me to go out and to do what I'm supposed to do in this world, maybe. So I grew up in a very small, like very small, tiny village in Bavaria in Germany. There were like 10 houses. And I was living there with my mom, single mother, and my younger sister. And our home was, well, it was far away from everything. There was a forest on one side and a couple of cows on the other side. And yes, really. And it was not only a lonely place physically, but also emotionally. My mom was very um, sunk into depression, anxiety, but she kind of accepted it. For her, it was like, well, that's how I am. That's who I am. That's what life is like. And that's just what it is.
Mm,
And I'm not like that.
mm,
I'm trying always to improve, to learn, to change something. If I don't like a situation, I want to change it and I want to make the best of it. So everything in my environment was stuck and making me feel not part of it and not connected to what was going on.
mm.
And then our neighbor had horses. So he brought them in. All of a sudden, he was like, no more cows, horses. I'm like, wow, what is going on here? And all of a sudden, I had a herd of horses in my backyard, like right next to our garden. And I was curious about them. I was like 5, 6 years old. And I started to hang out with them, to observe them, to sit with them. And in this place with the horses, they were calm, they were grazing, they were in harmony. I felt like here I belong.
Mm,
Everything is calm here, everything is possible here. They take care of each other. They're not always gentle, they're super strong, they can run, but they are connected to each other and they're curious,
mm.
and that's what inspired me. So then I was just like hanging out there waiting for the guy to come and bring them back to their barn, and I begged him like, man, can I lead a horse? And he was like, you're this and they're like this. What do you want? But I learned it, and then I connected with difficult horses. There were horses from the racetracks who were nervous like that. They couldn't even breathe without spooking. They were
Wow.
spooking from their own shadow. And I understood that I was not the only one who was, surrounded by fear, and sometimes also feeling that fear. I grew up with fear. My mom had fear of everything, and she was the only person we could relate to, right?
Wow.
So the horses then showed me that fear is somewhere else, but trying to when I was trying to help them overcome their spookiness and their nervousness, I saw that it was actually possible to learn and to heal and to change and to confront your fears and then overcome them. So I think that was my first experience with, it is actually possible to change your, given character. Or that's just,
Mm,
everybody said, well, that's just who that horse is. I'm like, no, I don't believe in that. Let's just try. And that's how it started. And then the horses, horses are really big and really strong.
yeah.
And if you want to connect with them, you need to show up and you need to be strong and collected and connected and fast. And I think that was a really good training. And then also to go out there and to say, hey, I want to ride, please teach me, please let me do it. Yes, I can do it. Which was the complete opposite of what was going on in my home. Like, no, you can't, you shouldn't, too difficult, too dangerous, too everything. So the horses were like a parallel world where everything was different.
Mm. And quick question in regards of that, because you're talking about like being with them, and it's like being like in a different herd, like connecting with them. But what helped you to have the courage to start to take a decision like, okay, I am living in a fear world with your mom and everything that was happening, uh, and you needed to take a courage, and you were 5 years old or 6 years old. What do you think helped you to have that courage? To it was
Honestly,
curiosity, or what was
I
it?
don't know. I don't know. Maybe there is, this the hunters and the gatherers, and maybe I was like the warrior on the horse, or I don't know, but something attracted me. They called me, and then I found a lot of positive vibes there, like friendship. And then, I can have this interview with you and I like to talk to my students, but in reality, I'm kind of an introvert. So I like the silence. I'm seeking quiet. The horses are quiet, and but not quiet in a sleepy way. So I don't know. It just inspired me, and then from there, it went on. Really.
And for how long you were learning from there, from them, connecting with them, from that age until when, or what was happening in that process?
Yeah. So for the next couple of years, we always went to the same place during summer vacation, a small island in Germany. And we were supposed to, my mom and my sister were going to the beach, and I was in the barn. So I found a barn. And then I learned riding there, and I started to have like a summer job. I led the groups. In the beginning, I was leading, like actually walking the horses in the summer heat for, I don't know, 5-6 hours a day to get some tips, to
Yeah,
get some money. And then I learned to ride, and then they gave me an actual paid summer job. So that went on for a couple of years during my adolescency. And then I lost track of horses in university, but I studied psychology to kind of, there is something more around this whole emotional healing and anxiety stuff. And then I came to Ecuador. So when I was 22, I came to live in Ecuador, and that was my reconnection to the horses. And I came because of the horses also. So I was living at a hacienda and at a farm, and we had horses, and I started to rescue horses. And then I came back to that, and I offered, just hanging out with the horses, learning to ride, to some kids from there, from the countryside. And I saw that what would happen with me back then would also happen with them. So I was like, there is something about this. And then I started to investigate, and I started to learn about different methods, equine assisted learning. There's a lot of different schools, and I didn't like any of them. None of them, for different reasons. Most of them didn't really think about the horses as a real partner. It was more like an object, like a helper. And I thought they were guiding the process. And then they didn't think about natural horsemanship. So you could just pull a horse from the barn and work with them. And I thought they had to live in a healthy environment, in a herd, in a better way, so that they would be emotionally healthy as well.
mm,
So then I started to create my own method. And in the beginning, I just wrote down what I had seen and what I had experienced, and
yeah,
kind of my own protocol. And I would not dare to share it with somebody. I was like, I can't even study some other method. I can't even, I can't afford this one, or I didn't like that one. So I'm like, classic imposter.
yeah.
I'm doing something here that nobody taught me to do. And then years later, somebody said, but, that's really good that you created something new. But it took quite a while to see that. So
And your method is the one that is connected with heart math.
HeartMath. Yes, the HeartMath came later. So first I published the method about 8 years ago. I published a book, and then 6 years ago I did my first course, because I didn't want to work alone anymore. I would like desperate to share it with somebody, to have a colleague who would help me.
Yeah,
And then from there it spread during the pandemic. That was my best year, actually. The pandemic was like my year, because I took my teaching online, and then it really spread to a lot of countries. And during the pandemic, I found HeartMath, which was part of the scientific explanation of what was going on in the field. And the science part is really important for me. Like I epically failed in university in statistics and all the science stuff,
yeah,
but I still find it quite interesting. So I'm always trying to find a reason. It's not like magical unicorns and girls and horses and also beautiful. There is actually a reason why it works the way it works. And part of it is sensory stimulation, it's body language, it's the heart coherence field of the herd. And that's where the HeartMath comes in.
That is really awesome. So let's start to understand, because I know that it can be thought as healing or as empowerment, and or learning how to do a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you have seen, like even from the horse side and from the people side, happening when these processes start to happen?
Yeah. So most of my colleagues or most of other schools will use it or will partner with horses for leadership.
Mm,
To lead such a massive animal, you need to be assertive. You need to know where you're going. Very often, if you give somebody a lead rope in our paddock and they're like, the horse is not moving, I'm like, where do you want it to move to? And they're like there. No.
yeah.
So where is your goal? Where do you want to go? And then you're assertive and you make a decision and then you go. So that's a lot of these qualities are helpful for people in leadership positions. And then also in the team building aspect. So you know that in team building, they always come up with crazy ideas like high rope courses and rafting and things to give the team a challenge that they're not used to do. And then they need to solve it as a team. And most of these challenges are adrenaline based,
Mm.
right? So for example, if you put me in a high rope course, I'll have an epic fail that is even worse than the statistics he said. I don't like heights. So that would be really hard for me. And I think working with a team based on adrenaline is not what we should be doing because it creates an adrenaline fight and tough culture that is not really helpful in cultures, in company cultures. So when you work with the horses, it's more dopamine based because you feel good. You feel good in partnering with the horses. You are able to fulfill a task and that
Mm.
makes you want to do more. So it's motivating and it's rewarding. And I think that's really much better. So those are some parts that happen. But then the horses have an ability because of their nature as prey animals and as herd animals who live together and create an emotional unit. They can sense intention. I think all animals can. We just don't do it. But
Exactly.
with the horses, the response is so obvious. So if your intention is, I don't really want to go, or I don't want to hurt the horse, he's grazing, I don't want to move them, they will sense that and they will be like, then why should we go? Right? Let's just keep grazing. And when you make a decision and you're like, this is important and I want to do it, and I invite you to come with me, not through violence, but through a decision, they sense that and they will do it. And then they work with you. A herd of horses moves like a school of fish, right? It's really nice. It's really beautiful. And they move with you in this effortless, connected, magnetic way that is quite inspiring for people. So the horses will show us when somebody is decisive,
Mm.
and that helps me as a therapist to understand what you really want, because those who do coaching or therapies, our clients can tell us a whole load of crap.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And we know about body language and we can sense some things, but the horses are better in that, much better.
Mm.
So it helps me to understand when somebody's actually saying the truth and actually making a decision to move forward or to do what they want to do.
Mm.
And then there's a lot of other things like, emotional calmness. If I do trauma therapy, I'm a trauma specialist. So very often I have people who had abuse experiences or domestic violence or, all kinds of hardship. And for them to open up is challenging. And sometimes in a therapy setting, we need a lot of time to create a safe space so that we do not re-traumatize somebody. Because if
Yeah.
you shut down and you just do what your therapist is asking you to do, that's actually could be a part of being re-traumatized. And with the horses, people come into this soothing, calming, connected environment where it's really easy for them to actually look at their own emotions. There's so many different angles, and that I think that's also what is interesting for me. It's I'm curious about all these different angles, and I work with many different students who engage in coaching and therapy and family stuff and team building and selecting staff and all of that.
And how that works? Because you are the therapist there in the middle of the herd. The herd is there, and the person or the group of person that wants to work something in their lives are in the same place.
Mhm.
How you start to guide them and help them to do something, or it's like, okay, you go and start to do it. How it works?
No, there's a protocol. So we have a protocol to start in a way that the horses want to include you in their unit. So you don't march up to them in a straight line like a predator with the halter in your hand. You actually just enter the field first, and then you wait, and we talk about things, and the horses get the chance to sense us, to feel us, to connect with us. And then there is like a greeting ritual where you go to each one of the horses and you have your topic in mind that you want to solve. And I observe that. And then there's usually some projection happening. So people will say, oh, this one is intimidating. And he looks at me like my husband does, or my boss does, or, they start projecting. And then there's usually some horses that are more helpful, like guiding or soothing or loving. And then from there, I start to develop. So, what is the actual root cause of what's happening to you? People
Mm,
come with, I can't speak on stage or I can't make a decision, but there's always something behind that. That's just a symptom. And through the horses, we discover what their core emotion is, the root cause emotion. And then I give them practical exercises. I want to engage the entire body. So they either lead a horse or they move the entire herd. That's pretty cool. That's
mm,
actually super cool when
yeah.
you get to move the entire herd of horses with your energy, right? So
Mm,
you don't need a whip or something. You don't need violence. You just need a decision and the energy.
wow.
And then there is other activities that are more connected. There is something called energy hug, where we really form a unit with one specific horse. Or it could be just like petting or brushing them, because when you work with a horse and you do, for example, you brush them, you make long movements. So you open your body, you open your shoulders, and the body language gives you this message of, yes, you can. Yeah, exactly. And so there's different routes, but it's always a practical activity, and then some introspection and talking about it, projection, and finding and translating it into your real life.
And in part of that, when you are talking about, just because I know that there is some people that understand pretty well what you are saying, and there is some people that maybe don't. Like, I don't have a clue how you do that. So, for example, when you are talking about intention, I put the intention that I'm going to be decisive and I am going to connect the energy. What do you do? Is I have to
Mhm.
speak with the horses, or I just have to think about it and things start to happen? How it works?
So I always try to translate it into some specific tangible activities. So for example, the intention part could be done with, I don't know, let's this horse is intimidating to me because he looks at me like my boss and I don't dare asking for a raise, for example.
Mm,
So you could either talk to the horse and say, I really deserve the raise, and the horse is not even looking at you, and then you're like, yeah, too busy. And I'm like, okay, now make an intention. Actually, you know that this is important. You want to bring it across and say it as you mean it, in a
mm,
way that brings across that you mean it, not like maybe if you would possibly, perhaps tomorrow listen to me. No, now. And when somebody is decisive like that, there is a focus around them in their aura, or like, I don't know how to explain it, that brings the horses into their state of curiosity. So the horse will look up like, oh, what's going on here? Something has shifted. So then you get the feedback like, okay, so now he's listening to me. And then you can say it. And then the horse will react in some way.
Mm,
Or you could, let's say you make a decision, right? I had a super interesting intervention recently in a workshop where somebody didn't even tell me what was going on. So he was in the workshop because a friend sent him there, not my ideal client, right? But he was there curious, but not really knowing what this was all about. And he did not say what was going on. So I asked the participants to, bring in a decision, something that they want to achieve. And then I gave them a hula hoop, and I asked them to put the hula hoop somewhere in the paddock and lead the horse there. So the horse was supposed to stand inside the hula hoop with their front legs. And the person tried, and the horse came close and came really close and was standing on the rim of the hula hoop. So the horse was not avoiding or stepping inside. He was standing on the rim, like balancing, tiptoeing around it. And we observed it for a while, and it went on and went on and went on. And then I went over there and I asked, what is going on? What is happening here? And he said, well, my problem is that my mom has a terminal illness, and I want to believe that she will be healed. And I want to use the next couple of weeks to really bond with her and spend time with her and be there for her. But I don't dare, because if I fail and she can't be cured, then I'll be even sadder than now. So he wanted to, but he didn't dare. So in his heart, there was a barrier, right?
wow.
And for him, the hula hoop was, we connect, we have this loving energy together, and my mom will be healed. And the horse was like, nah, if I go inside, then it could be, dangerous later. In the minute that person was like letting go and saying, yes, we will do this and we will have a good time as long as we can, whatever happens after that, the horse steps into the hula hoop and is like, oh, so nice, soothing here.
Wow.
Because you project like this is a good place or it's a dangerous place. Some horses will spook and avoid the hula hoop, like, no. No. So
Wow.
somebody could say, I want to save my marriage, right? No, I'm here because I want to save my marriage. I'm like, okay, the marriage is in your hula hoop. So bring the horse, your partner, in there. And the horse is like, no way. No way, because what you really want is a calm life. You don't want to save your marriage. You want to end the disaster, right?
Mm,
The
mm,
horse will sense that. And then you can't fool them.
mm. Wow. And when you are with kids, what
Mm.
happens? The parents is there. It's only the kids. How is the?
Yeah, usually it's only the kids, and it's more play based. So there is less introspection. I don't ask them, what does this mean? They kind of play, they describe the horses, and then but the strategy is the same. So there's projection happening. They would tell me about themselves through the horses, and then we do practical exercises, activities, so that they learn with their entire body that something is possible, or that it's actually in their mind, or they need to be calmer or something. And kids often get to ride a little more, so adults less sometimes, yes, but kids, I mean, it's just, that's the image of empowering, right? Sitting on the horse and being up there and feeling that strength. So it's
That,
more part of it.
so then I want to connect that with the heart math, the thing that you started to learn with that, because all of this that you are telling us now, it's something that you started to learn by yourself. Like, okay, connecting with them, and maybe learning from different perspectives of things and your psychology. What happened when you started to learn, like, okay, scientifically this is what is happening? What did you learn with that, and how that connected with everything?
Yeah. So HeartMath was really helpful for me. It was first a tool that I learned to bring what I do to the Zoom room, right? Because I couldn't bring people to the horses, and I wanted a tool that brought them into this regulation mode and into this knowledge that you can actually influence your emotions. So
Mm,
you are born anxious, right? Your home is anxious, but you can make a decision to be different and to
mm,
feel something different. And HeartMath is about that. So you think about the emotion that you want to have, and instead of being anxious before an exam, for example, you think about a moment when you got it, when you were calm, when you were successful, and you think about it. And as you think about it and do a breathing technique, your body will liberate the same hormones, the same chemicals, as if you already were successful in this exam. And then you are, right?
mm,
Because it switches on your memory, it switches on your immune system. So if you think I'm healthy and I have an experience of being healthy or of being good at this or of being calm or of being successful or passionate, loving, you actually shift your physiology.
mm.
And and I did that, like the horses do that for us because their field is coherent and calm in that sense. And then I taught it to people without the horses. And then after the pandemic, I combined the two things. And then it was like, wow, illumination.
Wow.
Because when you ask a client, when you teach a client to do this, the horses are more attracted to them. So it's like an accelerator of the process.
Mm,
And it's also something that they can take home. So we often create the feeling that they want to connect to in the paddock in my sessions, and then they take it home and they use it, and together with this symbolism, the strong imagery of the horses and the herd, the heart math works so much better. Because a lot of people have this problem that when you ask them, think about a situation when you were calm, and they're like, what
never.
do you mean? Right? Drinking, or they don't have a positive, healthy memory of that,
Mm,
or successful. But then in the paddock, we create these situations. So remember when you were able to move the herd and you were actually successful. And then they use that and they bring it back into their homes, and then they do the heart math technique. And then it's like, yes,
wow.
that's it.
Wow. I
Yes.
love it. And there is something that you talk a little bit during Mind Valley the event, and it was about the congruence that start to happen between the heart and the mind.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because at the end that is exactly what is happening even with the horses. Uh,
Yes. Yeah. So we are guided in our society, we're guided by the mind, right? We make decisions based on logic, on learning, on things that we think we know. But then there is also a part that is guided through the heart, where the heart is actually receiving also signals, which we call intuition usually. And that signal is faster than the brain. It's like it doesn't have to go through all the circuits up here. It's more instinctive. And we have all had these situations, like especially moms, right? Moms, when they know what is going on with their children. So when something is emotionally charged, we know what is going on and we know what we want to do or what we should do.
mm,
And with heart math, we are tapping into that. So we connect through the thinking and thinking about the heart, and imagining that our breath is flowing passed by the heart. We connect the two and we give more importance to the signals that come in through the heart. And then the heart changes its rhythm. And it's not about fast or slow, it's about the space between each heartbeat. So
mm,
that space can be irregular. And it's irregular when you are stressed, scared, frightened, fearful, all the depleting emotions that we usually have. And the heartbeat is balanced. That means that the space between each heartbeat is exactly the same when you
Mm.
have a renewing emotion like joy, care, love, passion, excitement, these things. So there is actually a physical, measurable connection, and then it brings about all kinds of physiological change
Mm.
that is translated into your immune system, your memory. There's a lot of athletes and politicians who use HeartMath to enhance their performance. It's just more fun the way I do it with the horses.
Yeah, no, I like it because it's exactly what you're saying. At the end, sometimes it's difficult to find a happy memory for something that you want to help them. And if you create that memory and then you use it in the future, that is really amazing.
Mhm.
Helping them to do that. Uh,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
what other things like experiences you have seen, or maybe we can even try to do a little bit of heart math exercise here so people can start to understand what is that. Okay, let's start to understand it, to connect with that idea
Mhm.
and find out how that this can help and give them some tips.
Yeah. So I think like from what it did for me is it made me believe that it was not only possible to be calmer and to enjoy life and to don't fall into depression or something, but to actually bring what I was doing to a lot more people, because most of that group of people who work with horses, speaking on a stage, and I can't bring the herd, right? So I
Yeah.
have to translate it into something, and I have to find the meaning in it, even if we're not there in the paddock. Because the big problem of this method, of this tool that the horses provide, is that it's not really accessible for so many people, right?
Mm.
We don't have horses everywhere. I can't bring them. I have to find the right kind of horses to do my work. But then there is a lot that can be translated into the symbolism and into the regular topics that others are also teaching, like as I said in the beginning, right? Overcome your fear, create your reality, regulate your emotions. Why
Mm.
would you do that? How can you do it? And the horse can be this symbol of it is possible, of strength, of empowerment, of beauty, of calmness, of discovering new horizons. And the horse is, like in ancient cultures, the horse was really an important partner for mankind, right?
Yeah.
And now we can invite them to not only be a sports object, but to actually have this role again of bringing us into new dimensions, to new horizons, just those that are inside of us. And I think that in this world where everything happens online, and we do interviews and team meetings, and we ask chat gpt to write our love poems, or whatever you
Yeah.
want them to do, we are less connected with our emotions. Everything is online, through the computer, through the screen. You feel others less. And I think the horses can be a beautiful symbol to remind us to go back to that and to actually rely more on our intuition. And then for me, it's a great symbol. I don't, in my world, everybody in my WhatsApp list has horses as a profile picture. Some of them I heard. In my Instagram, it's like all my world is horses. But then there is horses everywhere to be found. So if you're awakened to that, even in Mexico City, you will find posters, cards, book covers, movies. You'll find symbols of horses. And if
Yeah.
they remind you to like pause, regulate your emotions, breathe, and reconnect to that strength that we all have, I think that could really actually change the world in a quite tangible way, especially for those who don't have access to all the fancy stuff that is out there, right?
Mm.
because there's technical devices and supplements and what have you to help you get there. But then there is a lot of people on earth who have never heard of HeartMath, but they have access to horses. And so that's my mission. I'm on that mission to like bring it and spread
and
it
and I
everywhere.
love it. That's why I told you let's have this conversation, because really people need to know about this, and know that there is other ways to really reconnect. And at
Hmm.
the end, we are in a world that, as you were saying, is like we are getting disconnected as much as possible, not really connected as much as possible, and learning how to connect ourselves. Really, I remember when I started my coaching practice at the beginning, one of the words that I needed to put, and I still have it here in front of me, is connect. Why?
Hmm.
Because I was used to have my cell phone the whole day, even in
Yeah.
every single meeting, everywhere. Like I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, whatever you say, yes. It's like, but not really connected, and trying to understand and being present,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
something that
Yeah, exactly. Being present. And there's even this duality. Like if you say, I'm connected, like what do you like? Yeah, we are connected, right? Somehow my signal is really strong, but then my signal can be strong or weak. And that is what in the end drives the success. I mean, your program is called Believe in Your Business. So if your signal for that is strong, like I want to bring it out there and I believe in it and I want to create it, and what for, right? To have my dream home or to have a lot of money or to help others or whatever your reason is, you can modulate that signal and then you can also modulate it down, which is another problem, right?
yeah, yeah.
um, I don't know if you have here maybe in your program, or if you know people who then go on vacation and they're never able to regulate it down.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have that issue sometimes. And with the horses, you can practice that. So first I send out all that energy, and then I regulate it down, and I ask them to, okay, so now calm down, stop running, let's relax, and let's just sit here and be together. And they should teach that in school. Nobody teaches that.
No, and that is amazing, because really, at the end, it's talking about what we are saying, being present. Because being present with you, but if I have in my head a lot of stories, and I am
Yeah,
thinking about,
yeah.
yeah, after this, I'm going to have a conversation with it. It's like I am not present. I am here. Maybe I'm not watching my my cell phone or something else,
Mhm.
and I
But
am here. But if
you're
my
somewhere else.
mind is
Yeah.
in another place,
Yes. Yes.
and that, and if that is happening to anybody that is here a lot, that is exactly something that you need to learn. Like, oh, that
Yes.
can be learned. No, because I have HDHD, that is not possible, and there is a lot of things. But the reality is that is possible. I
Yes.
can tell you from myself.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have learned to do it, because I was exactly like in corporate, managing projects, big project with a lot of people and a lot of problems daily, like zillions of problems.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and finally understanding to connect and be yourself, and don't have. I had one person a few months ago here in the program, that she's a mom of 13 kids,
Oh my God. Wow.
and she, and at the end I asked her, how did you survive? And what she says, I created a different mask for everything that I was doing. Like, I was the perfect mom when I was at the school, but I was another perfect mom when I was working, and I was like different faces for whatever. And when she was alone, she was completely devastated, and so at the end, that's part of learning about this,
Mhm.
and really, with all the explanation that you gave today, for me it's like, wow, I understand now. If I am in front of the horse thinking about the intention, but thinking about the other million of things that I have to do, you are not going to connect with that horse,
Yeah.
and the horse is going to
Yes.
be like, whatever, like, I don't care what you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
say.
Exactly. So you have the advantage that through your coaching training and the work that you do, you are already aware of the need. So you already want to be connected. But then most people that I meet through my work or other adventures, they are not even aware. So they would say, this project is not going forward. And then I analyze it and I see that somebody in that project is not connected. They're not there. They're sitting there saying, yeah, 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 whatever. Right? But
exactly.
they're not there with their heart. They don't have intention, and then it can't. Or you say, I'm working so hard and I don't make money, or I don't achieve what I want to achieve, but you're connected to the scarcity maybe, or the the lack of, or the fear, instead of being connected with what you want to create.
Mm,
And with the horses, the horses really bring this to a tangible, visible teaching. So you are connected to, I want them to move. But then if you think, oh, I can't, and this is so hard, and I don't know how, and nobody's helping me, they won't move. They'll be like, eh. What do you really want? So if you think about not working, it's not working. If you think about, yes, we'll create movement, then it's working. And hello, Laura. That's amazing. And people are saying that they were seeing us at the Mind Valley meetup. So that was an event full of intention and energy, and everybody wanting the same, and that has such an uplifting effect, right? We're still feeding from that.
yes, and yes, thank you, Laura, for connecting and sharing and even writing. Uh, Christina, how people? I know that you are doing this with people that wants to do it for themselves, and
Hmm.
also for people that wants to teach this to others.
Hmm.
So how they can connect with you and know more about this and know more about the method, or
Hmm.
anything that they want to know. It's like, okay, I am curious now. Like I am that
Yeah.
little kid of 6 years old that there is a herd there that I don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of different possibilities. I have put my Instagram handle, Mars Method, here into my name tag. And that's a very good way of finding me on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a website, ChristinaMarz.com. And you can either inquire for a session, a team building session, an individual session, a family session. I have people in 30 countries. So it kind of doesn't matter where you are, there's always somebody close. Then I also receive students. I have a certification program where people can learn to facilitate this work.
Mm,
And it also is helpful for riders. So if somebody is breeding horses or riding horses and wants to either improve their performance or just have more fun or have happier horses, then they could also connect with me and learn some of the tools that are helpful for that segment. And then I also do talks. I speak for companies, I speak on stages, I speak for institutions who want to reconnect to their intuition and either learn that through HeartMath or just through the stories. There's a gazillion stories about horses that are really fun to listen to. So even those companies who've had so many inspiring talks about coaching, and no offense, dear Alejandro, about
no,
the,
not at all.
the regular tools. But when I have to, the angle that I put on it is it's just new. It's just cool. So
No.
there, please everybody reach out, and I'd love to be with you.
Awesome. So, Christina, it was, I don't know, but the time was so fast. But thank you for today. I know that we're going to have another session soon with you. We have to continue talking about this, and really helping people to understand there is other ways to do this job and connect with yourself. If you can do it with a coach, you can do it with a horse, and that's fine. you know,
Yes,
at the end, what we are looking is the same thing: is people connecting people and improving people's lives. And that's,
exactly.
if it's one way or the other, it's okay. The idea is to really elevate our consciousness and improve our awareness.
Exactly. And to improve and to be better people.
Exactly. So, really, thank you, Christina, for your time today, and thank you
Thank you.
everyone that was listening and connecting with us. If you are curious, if you have any single idea, like, okay, maybe this is for me or not, if you're curious, just write and connect and start to find out if it's something for you or not.
Yes.
Thank you again. See you next time. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.